What's up, everybody? Welcome out to our 6 o'clock live stream every Sunday night here on Tattoos and Review. We are the two fat guys in a tattoo shop.
Rock and roll, baby.
We got a cool little show tonight. We figured we would try to get away from the controversy for a week and have some fun. It's a topic that I feel is near and dear to both my heart and Justin's heart. And him more so because he's a tattoo artist and he appreciates music. I am more of the enthusiast who
was in the music business.
Okay, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Haven't you made allusions to that? Haven't you made reference to that?
I think I have. Yeah. Man, I don't like to pat myself on the back, so I'm just one of those people. Anyway, we have some cool stuff to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about musicians and the influence that they had on the tattoo industry or vice versa, because I think it goes both ways sometimes. And before we jump into that, I want to just make a quick shout out to Fat Cracker for sending the beard oil.
Sweet beard oil.
We are digging it. We're looking all glossy and soft. He sent us some beard oil to try. We are going to possibly.
Where are you from again?
Earl. Got some Earl. Beard Earl.
Where are you from again? What part of Pennsylvania? Earl?
No, but anyway, that is something that we're gonna, talk to him about.
What does a pot do what does water do in a pot when you heat it up?
Boil. And we're gonna have probably our own beard oil on our Shopify store or whatever store we decide to do, along with our t-shirts and hats and other cool stuff. So anyway,
so you know what I was thinking about that?
Go ahead.
So I went to a show the other night and the t-shirt stopped at 2X. Yeah, as they often do. So I think that our t-shirts, two fat guys should start at 3X, and anything smaller than a 3X should be honorary fat guy.
So here's the problem. I ordered shirts, the original batch of shirts.
Right. And once you get to the big sizes, they get so much more expensive.
So I ordered big shirts for myself and you, and Big Boys News Channel. I ordered one for him, and the thing is, dude, is now that I've been giving them away, all I have left are fat guy sizes.
Yep.
We got nothing. We have 3X, 4X, and 5X. I was actually going to send a shirt to one of our listeners, Chris Hawkins. And I can't even send the dude a shirt because I don't have anything smaller than a 3X. And it was bad enough that, when I sent shirts out to the winners, all of them, I believe, except for one, got one size bigger than what they asked for. Because I just didn't have any. And, look.
I was just saying in fat guy solidarity.
Yeah, man. I mean,
we should run our sizes bigger.
Honorary fat guy sizes. But anyway, so we're still digging into that venture, and that'll be happening soon. So hang in there, folks.
I mean, isn't it super frustrating? Like the one day you were talking about how Harley Davidson doesn't even make big shirts anymore, do they?
No, man. And what's crazy about that is the amount of
big fat
bikers there are, and then they're selling slim 2X is their biggest shirt, slim cut. Like, who the hell's wearing? First of all, if you're a 2X and you're wearing a slim cut, I mean, you're either jacked or you look like fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah, I can't stand the whole,
dude. As a fat person, I can't stand when my clothes are clinging to me.
No,
it drives me freaking insane. So, yeah, we're gonna be hashing that stuff out soon, and more to come. So, hang in there with us, folks. So we're going to talk tonight about musicians, the music industry, and the influence on tattoos. And we kind of were kicking around a jump off point to share with you guys, so this way we could kind of move forward. We know kind of where it's at today, but we were sitting down and we were thinking about it, and we're like, well, where's the jump off point? And Justin and I kind of agreed it would have been after World War II, as far as the music industry influencing or having influence in tattooing. Now, this isn't to say that there weren't, like, jazz musicians and other people prior to this that had tattoos, but I'm thinking about like when we kind of envision it, right? What we see in our stupid little heads. Anyhow, we talked about it being post World War II and going into so for the UK, it would have been like the Teddy Boys era. And we're gonna give you a quick little
the Teddy Boys, the Rockers, yeah.
Yeah, let's give everybody a quick little glimpse of a Teddy Boy real quick. And actually, well, let's do it this way because it makes it look better. Hold on. I'm still learning here, folks.
I mean, I would say that in general, England.
So
England has better subcultures than we do.
Yeah. So in England, with the Teddy Boy culture, they had, I thought was pretty cool. Like, I think that when I look at this, I go, I would have dug this, man. I think that would have been something that I would have been into, other than the hair thing, because I guess I probably wouldn't have made it.
So when I think of Teddy Boys, I think of the two sparrows on the side of the hands. When I think of English gangsters in general, that's like the English gangster tattoo I think of, the two swallows.
I saw a thing today where the dude was talking about the sparrows, where the sparrows should always be facing into you and not away from you,
I guess.
And I'm like, okay.
Doesn't yours face away from you?
No, it faces into me.
It does?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's the first thing I checked when I saw it. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Let me look. And then I'm like, yeah, it faces in. I'm good. So in the UK, they had the Teddy Boys, and they were kind of doing it where, they were starting to have that vibe going on, that culture going on, and they were getting tattooed. Here in the United States, when we think post World War II, we think of the MC culture and greasers. Those two cultures kind of starting to kick off, and I think that's where here in the U.S. that's started to push that envelope a little bit.
So one of my favorite stories about greasers is Bill Haley and the Comets.
Man.
Did Rock Around the Clock, played a show in Germany, right? And the German greasers tore the stage to pieces and had a riot.
Why?
Just got into a frenzy.
Just got all like whooped up.
All yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like precursor to the mosh pit.
Yeah, I mean they just like yeah.
Oh, them Germans, dude.
So what's something that Little Steven said that I thought was interesting years ago. He said you have to realize in early rock and roll, they were like playing like this and they were doing this, right? They were just standing in place. But when the Rockabilly Boys came up from the South, like Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, they'd come up they had been brought up as kids in Pentecostal churches.
Right.
So they were some of the first artists to like just move around the stage and to gyrate and to like, and Little Steven, coming from New Jersey, mm-hmm. He was like the first time I saw a band from the South and I saw a guy like jump around the stage like a madman. He's like, it was mind blowing.
Yeah, man. And you used to see those guys jumping up on their bass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy, dude. Like, I think we all want to think that, new stuff is all badass and all that. But man, if you got to imagine, man, back then and when none of that, you know what I mean? Seeing that for the first time. That's what I always think too, man. I was going to go on a rant about music, but I really feel like that there's times where the younger generation is like, ah, man, Led Zeppelin sucks, or, you know, the Rolling Stones suck, or whatever. But, you know, like these young kids need to realize that, yeah, it's old hat because they've heard it and it's been around for 50 years. But you imagine like being in the room when they were recording the first Led Zeppelin album and being like freaking mind blown.
Yeah.
Like dude, you had to have been like, what the hell is this? Or Jimi Hendrix the first time he ripped it up.
So, and then when I think about the British, when I think about the British rock post World War II, like with the Teddy Boys and the Greasers, I don't think Americans realize that they came up in ruins. I mean, they're like, even like the Beatles, the Stones. I mean, London was destroyed when they were children. Parts of London were still destroyed when they started making music.
Yeah.
So they're like, I think that's why their stuff was, I think their stuff was darker.
Well, that's why, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, they all talk about how, living in Birmingham where it was an industrial, and just hearing them, the stamp machines of the steel all night, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of like their internal groove.
Yeah.
I don't know, as far as everybody that's watching tonight, I don't know if you're expecting us to sit here and be like, this artist tattooed this person or whatever. But, we have some examples of different tattoo artists that were involved with, tattooing musicians and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to do like a quick, whirlwind tour of the time periods of when basically, music was influencing tattoos, or tattoos were influencing music in some cases. But before we get into this, man, let's give a couple shout outs. We got some regulars in the house tonight. So we got Chris Hawkins in the house. We got Nikki, our moderator. We got Tom from England. Sarah, OG Sarah in the house. Luz. Artie's in the house. Hey, Artie. I haven't seen you in a bit. Tom, I already said Tom, right? Drag's in the house. Dominic, what's up, Dominic?
So, early on, like, I think when I think of
buckets of smashed guts.
Nice.
King Records. One of my girls will answer. I had to read it because there was a bunch of Rose to Fame in the grindcore and slam scene, but never sold out. There you go.
Nice.
That's what I like to hear, dude. Hold on real quick. Drag said, hey, Buck and Justin. He said Dustin, but he meant Justin.
What's up?
The t-shirt arrived, but I am on the road. It's what tattooists do on a holiday. Thank you a lot. I'll send you a photo when I'm home again. All right, cool. So Drag finally got his care package. Dude, I have to tell you, I was watching the tracking for the stuff that went to Drag in Spain and the stuff that went to Sarah up there in Canada. And the trip to Canada was way longer than the trip to Spain.
I believe it.
It went from PA to Jersey to New York to Jersey to New York to Jersey to New York. I was like, what the F are these guys doing, man? Anyhow, Dominic, welcome to the show, man. First time I've seen you in here, but feel free to come back anytime, especially if you like our kind of music, man, which it sounds like you do. So, after the Teddy Boys, there's a weird period, right? Mods Rockers over in England. I think here in the US, the MC culture really starts to ramp up.
Right. And they're getting tattooed.
Right. And
some of the
then
hippies are getting tattooed.
Right. So then that's when we start going into the, I guess we'll call it the Lyle Tuttle era, where he is, tattooing Janis Joplin and
Allman gets tattooed.
the Allman Brothers, Dwayne and what's the other brother that was?
I'm not sure.
I'm drawing him.
Greg?
I'm having a brain. Greg, thank you. I was going to say the one that was married to Cher.
Ozzy was tattooed.
Yeah, well, so that would have been more.
That would have been earlier, but
like
still.
70s, right?
No.
Yeah, when Black Sabbath was out there, that was like 1970.
Yeah, so that would have been after Joplin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's stories about Lyle only doing some of Janis's tattoos, and some of the others were not done by Lyle, but that's another story for another time. And if you're listening right now and you're digging this, make sure you smash that like button for us, not like and subscribe. It'll push it out to more people, and we can get more people to join in the conversation. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I always forget to do that, so I wanted to make sure why it was stuck in my head.
So who were the first tattooed musicians that you saw?
For me, that I can think of off the top of my head, like right now, boom. I'm going to say the first guys that I saw that were tattooed would have been Motley Crue.
Motley Crue.
To me, that is where I think tattooing took a turn hardcore into the music scene. But it wasn't, though, because we know that there was obviously a huge contingency of punk people that were getting tattooed. You and I are on a different wavelength as far as when we found different styles of music. So you found punk earlier than I did.
So before that, like we were talking earlier about how Bon Scott was tattooed. Bon Scott had the like 4 or 5 trashy, I'm from Australia and I like to brawl.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray had the peacock on his chest. And for some reason, I almost like that more.
Okay.
Because it's almost, I feel like with Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, it became part of like the
uniform.
Part of the uniform.
Yeah.
We were talking about Ricky Rackman.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't a musician, but he hosted what was it called?
Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball. He was real tattooed.
Yeah. So from the 60s era.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Let's not skip forward, man.
I forgot.
On. Stay on track, bro.
No, I forgot that freak Johnny Winter. The dude that did Frankenstein, the albino.
Yeah.
I mean freak because his mind was nuts.
So, man, Allman Brothers, the dudes from Skynyrd, Molly Hatchet. I mean, there were a bunch of those bands in the late 60s, early 70s that were starting to get tattooed.
Do you associate that kind of like the Skynyrd, Molly Hatchet with motorcycles?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely in my world. That's definitely that's biker music, MC music. Not so much these days, but yeah, back then for sure. And Chris said Bon Scott, so he, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's it's funny because I'm actually friends with Bon Scott's illegitimate son on Facebook, and he's been fighting it for, I think he's either late 40s or early 50s. He's been fighting it for like the past 35, 40 years to get his little piece of the pie for the AC/DC pie. And it's been fought in the courts for all these years by Angus Young and the AC/DC camp. Apparently they don't want to even let him do a DNA test. So it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that looking back at it now, though, I know I just said that Motley Crue was my, I think, first. That, like I said, it was off the top of my head. But we know that that's not the case. The New York City punk scene.
Oh wait, you know what we forgot? What we totally flaked on?
Okay.
Tattoo You by the Stones.
Yeah, but that wasn't. That was just an album.
Right, but still, that was
a fake picture of Mick Jagger that somebody, the dude,
iconic.
Right, I know,
but still an iconic album.
And do you realize there's a lot of people don't know that that's actually Mick Jagger? They think it's a chick.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
And then the Who put out a song called Tattoo.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't a big Who fan. Like that, I don't know. I was definitely not a. I like the Who stuff now that I'm a little older. I wouldn't say that I could sit down and listen to a whole album. Just didn't really do anything for me. But I think the punk scene is really where it started to kick into overdrive.
As far as music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of, there were different bands that were showing up that were getting tattooed. And then there was also some of those guys wound up being tattoo artists, right?
Yes.
So like Shane Enholm's one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any off the top of my head right now that were big punk guys that wound up being. There are later down the road, but I'm talking about like that original like 70s punk group time frame, I should say, not group. That became tattoo artists.
I think those guys were just getting like the punks in the late 70s in New York and in London. I think they were just getting street tattoos. It wasn't like when I think of like the first punk rocker that I saw that was really tattooed was Rollins.
Okay.
Rollins had that huge Search and Destroy back piece. He had the Creepy Crawl, the Black Flag bars. But then, like Doyle was tattooed for the Misfits. Leo Zaletta was tattooing a lot of the LA guys.
Yeah.
So I think at a certain point, when punk went from like the Pistols, Clash to became a little harder, like Exploited, and like Black Flag in America.
Okay.
Those guys were getting tattooed.
Yeah, I mean Henry Rollins obviously covered.
Yeah.
Voodoo is happy. Said, ha. As an old head, I saw the OG Allman Brothers as the opening act for Johnny Winter, 70 or 71. Too bad you weren't there. I tell you what, I would have loved to have been there. I know.
Yeah.
Man, to me,
really the Allmans?
Dude, I love the Allman Brothers, man. That's go-to chill music for me. That's actually I listen to the Allman Brothers a lot while I'm riding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, just happens to be, it goes with the flow for me. Especially if I'm on a long trip, dude. The little, yeah, man, got some groove going. But I actually did make a list that, I think some of it has some of the newer stuff on here, but it also has some older stuff. And I also want to get into other types of music that it's crossed over into, because I think that's just as much a thing now as it ever was, because we've got country guys now. Jelly Roll, Brantley Gilbert, sorry. I almost said it all country like Brantley Gilbert. That dude's covered. I mean, he's got some crazy tattoos. That really good tattoos as well.
Yeah.
Upshaw. Man, I think even Hank Williams Jr., man.
Probably.
I know Hank the Third does.
Yeah.
Crazy son of a bitch. I love him, dude. So we got even country guys that are getting ink.
Was David Allan Coe? Somebody asked me that earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, he was tattooed.
Yes. I mean, for those of you that don't know, you can look this up because I'm not going to talk about it, but look up David Allan Coe and his relationship to the motorcycle culture. Yeah, so I think Merle Haggard, I think all them outlaw country guys were. What about Johnny Cash?
No.
I don't think he was.
I'm going to say no.
I don't think he was. But I know like Merle Haggard probably was.
I'm going to say Johnny was a little too Christian.
Yeah. Mr. I'm doing rails in Folsom Prison?
Yeah.
Okay. I just happened to sniff at the same time I said that. Still getting over my cold. Not from doing rails. I'm too fat. I'm the fattest, right? Come on, man.
Yo, yeah.
No one would ever question that I was doing methamphetamines or any type of speed.
Yeah, the STEM fast diet.
Jesus. But yeah, so the one thing that I do want to bring up real quick before we get into this list that I have is there are a lot of guys out there that are doing tattoos for famous people that just don't make it a thing.
Right.
Then there's also a list of people that's their bread and butter. They have a shop where they have other guys that are tattooing in the shop, and they're strictly doing celebrity people, which is cool. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think the one dude that I'm going to talk about is well deserved. So go ahead, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say that I think there was a time in tattooing both in LA and in New York where like metal, punk rock, hot rods, motorcycles, tattooing, music, I think it all sort of came together in one place. Like the musicians were getting tattooed, the tattooers were at the shows watching the musicians. Like,
yeah,
it was all elements in the same scene.
Well, now, even now, when you go to conventions, there's usually bands playing.
Right.
So, I mean, it's as tied together as it could possibly be at this point. There's obviously tattoo artists that are in bands. There's some tattoo artists that quit tattooing to be in bands. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But so the first one right off the bat that I want to kind of get into is, and I talked about him briefly in the, and when I say briefly, I mean, I literally like 2 seconds. I talked about him. Robert Benedetti, who wound up buying the shop off of Cliff Raven, because he was on the Sunset Strip. He was around a lot of those guys that were doing the Rainbow, the Roxy, Whiskey A Go-Go. So he tattooed Ozzy Osbourne's dragon, the Blue Dragon chest panel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that was done in like 2 sessions. Did the outline in one and then did the color and shading on a second session. Quick note though, Ozzy actually said he did his own knuckles. He did. That was he was like 15 or something. He said he did it. And then also the iconic, smiley faces on his knees were actually done by a friend at their house. Ozzy was dating his sister, and the dude's name is I wrote it down here, and I figures I'm not going to remember it. It was Ash Allison was the guy's name, and it actually came out that he's the one that put the smiley faces on Ozzy's knees. So I thought that was kind of cool. But with Robert being on the Sunset Strip, he gave Slash from Guns N' Roses his first tattoo, and he actually went there because Axl Rose sent him there, saying that dude was, that's go there, man. That's the place to go. And Axl Rose only has like what 3 tattoos or did.
So Axl Rose annoys the shit out of me.
Okay, do tell.
Because as far as being tattooed, because he literally got the heavy metal tattoo starter kit, and then never got tattooed again. He's got the same 3 or 4 tattoos that he's always had. He didn't like nothing. Like you just got them, got famous, and then lost interest. I'm gonna say Axl got tattooed for effect. You ever seen that picture, the new picture of like Axl Rose and Mickey Rourke? They look like an elderly lesbian couple that are opening an antique store in Portland.
Dude, he blew up. And then not only that, but his singing is not as good as it used to be. Talk about a dude that ruined his own career.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember when they were going to play? I don't want to say the Spectrum, but they were going to play in Philly, Guns N' Roses. I'm going to say it's maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and he when the whole band was there, he was in New York. They actually sent a helicopter up to get him, and he refused to board.
He notoriously was late for gigs. It's a well known in the industry. He literally used to drink Jack Daniels all day and then would do blow to have enough juice to do the shows. And he was always late for shows and would start riots almost. I keep putting my goddamn Pepsi bottle up there. I'm not trying to
shill.
I'm not trying to promote them, man. They're not paying me. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, talk about a guy that ruined his own career just because of the ego that he had. I guess it's.
And how much ego can you have after you release November Rain?
Hey, man, nothing for nothing. As much as I don't like that song made them a shitload of money.
Yeah, because people have shit tasted music.
Well, you can't account for taste. Next one I have on my list is Lyle Hardy. Obviously,
Lyle Hardy tattooing Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols and Bicky Bondage.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan. Great guy, awesome dude. Love him to death, man. One of the coolest people I ever met. But he happened to tattoo that chick's head, and did a little tribal piece after he saw Leo Zaletta doing tribal work in L.A. Went back to the U.K. and he did that tribal piece on that girl's head. And he told me the girl's name, and I can't remember her name. And she just happened to be like at Piccadilly or Leicester Square or something like that. And a dude took a photograph of her. And next thing you know, he said, dude, his shop was just on fire after that. People were flocking to his shop to get work done, which is cool, man. Good for him. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But he also, after that, because he made, he paid his dues and wound up tattooing like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, Nirvana. He actually did the FF on. So if you see the first album cover for the Foo Fighters, it has the dude's neck with the FF. That's Dave Grohl's neck that Lyle did the tattoo for.
Nice.
That's Lyle Hardy's work. Noel Gallagher from Oasis, Frankie from the Saturdays, Razzle from Hanoi Rocks. So, between that and the dude from the Clash and a couple other people, I'm sure that we don't even know about because it's not like he's like out there flaunting it. But and then the next one on my list is somebody we just kind of touched on. So Mark Mahoney out there in LA. Boston guy. You know, you couldn't tattoo in Boston. It was illegal. So he said he got his first tattoo up in Rhode Island and learned how to tattoo up there, and then was in New York for a short spell. So he would have been in New York during the time frame that you're talking about with the early punk days. He was also mixed into that MC culture as well, because of the vicinity of certain groups that were in the Lower East Side. And wound up going to LA and making his bones out there, and worked for Colonel Todd.
Yeah. And speaking of that stuff, like, I think in the New York, especially in the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area, right? When people began to play hardcore music, and a lot of it came out of the Lower East Side, and like the New York hardcore stuff, like Sick of It All, Crown of Thorns, Madball, Agnostic Front, the Cro-Mags, they were heavily tattooed. And most tattooers that are my age, in their late 40s, early 50s, spent at least some time in that scene. Whether it was straight edge, whether it was tough guy hardcore, whatever it was. You know what I mean? We were going to shows and we were seeing guys like us that were, I mean, Ezek from Crown of Thorns was covered.
Right.
Roger Murray from Agnostic Front, covered.
So
the guys from Scarhead, Sub-Zero, the guy from Sub-Zero, Toby from H2O, covered.
Right.
So that, and again, it was like what I was saying earlier. At that time in New York, the hardcore music was so tied in with the New York tattoo scene because it was still illegal up to a certain point.
Right.
So it was super influenced. It was super underground.
So is everybody still awake out there? Are you enjoying this content? Is this stuff that you guys are into? If you are, just give us a quick yes in the chat real quick. I just want to make sure we're keeping our listeners interested. So if you're out there, give us a yes if you're digging what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that probably I feel like the thing that kicked it into overdrive was definitely punk. Just based off of the amount of people that were tattooed in the you said something tonight that actually blew my mind about the Ramones.
Yeah, the Dee Dee and Marky were tattooed.
I didn't know that because I've never seen them without their leather jackets on.
You don't know about the Dee Dee Ramone rap album?
I do not, and I don't know if I want to hear it.
It's terrible.
Jesus, dude. Okay, so we only got 2 yeses, so I guess everybody else is like, this sucks. All right, well, what do you want to talk about? Nobody wants to hear our stories about rock music and tattoos, or musicians and tattoos.
Really? You're gonna
we're gonna divert.
We're gonna divert.
No, I'm just joking. We're too unprepared to divert. We're not that savvy. So Tom said, I think James Hetfield was my intro to tattoos.
Right. So somebody said that after, I didn't know this about Hetfield, but apparently he got sober.
Yeah.
And after he got sober, he began to get tattooed.
There's a dude in my mind right now that is just sticking out that I can't believe you haven't brought up yet.
Who?
You're probably one of your second or third.
Ness.
I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself, dude. If we were talking about something that involved about Pink Floyd, I would have been jumping in there, dude.
Right.
You didn't even.
But the thing with Mike Ness is that,
like, Mike Ness of Social Distortion, in case you don't know.
So my interest in Mike Ness and that kind of tattooing, that actually came later in my life. That was after I mean, the later Social Distortion albums, and especially Mike's solo stuff, it's a little more grown up.
Okay.
It's a little past the like chugga 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 chugga, let's open up this pit stuff.
So here's where Justin and I differ. Justin will still go to punk shows and want to slam dance and get in the pit.
Yes.
And I just want to sit my fat ass down in a chair and enjoy the music.
Well, that is enjoying the music. So it's funny. So I saw The Exploited the other night, right?
That's kind of where I was going with
at
this.
a brew pub.
What?
At a brew pub. I mean, I would just.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
So they open up with this song called "Dogs of War," right?
Yep.
And excuse me. And I went off.
Where's the tip? Where's this curse jerk?
I went off because the music just gets in you and you go off.
And we're the only one?
What? Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Fat guy rolling through there like the Tasmanian devil.
Silverback. It's a silverback. But then later on, like they played Army Life, which is another favorite song of mine. And I couldn't even get on the floor because by then I was just exhausted and it wasn't there. That's the thing about like punk rock and hardcore music is that like when it's there and it gets in you, you move and you move hard. Which, yeah.
Look, man.
So like when we go see Social Distortion and they play, I mean, I know it's corny or whatever, but when they play Mommy's Little Monster and Another State of Mind, I'm certain that there'll be a bunch of punk rock grandpas out there with our oxygen tanks and our walkers, just swinging them at each other.
See, but there's yeah, man. I don't know, man. I think when I think of pits now, though, man, it's like these dudes that are just flailing their arms, just trying to punch somebody. It's not like the old days where you were just kind of like slamming at each other, having a good time. Like there's dudes out there now that are just trying to
crowd killing,
freaking decapitate people.
Yeah. So I went to see a hardcore show last spring, and I mean, for my trouble, I got my eye split open.
That's what I'm saying. Because
I mean, if you're in the strike zone, you can't really get mad.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. To me, I think it's like, I don't want to go to a show and get into a fist fight. I want to actually enjoy the show and listen to the stuff.
Yeah. But I'm saying
when I get tagged in the face, I'm swinging.
Right. So,
I don't have that mentality. That's where you and I differ.
Because because I was in the strike zone. Like if I didn't want to get hit or I didn't want to like not have my guard up, I should have been 3 rows back.
Yeah.
Because I hate when guys like, if you're standing next to the pit and you get punched,
it's your own fault.
Don't be mad.
Right. I think that, I think that's a story. This whole thing is for another time because we're definitely veering away from the whole tattoo thing. But
are we veering away from the whole tattoo thing?
Well, yeah.
I mean, because I was thinking about this today, right? So at one point or another, tattooing divorced itself from other underground cultures, right? Tattooing is definitely its own culture now.
Okay.
It's not attached to the biker culture. It's not attached to the hardcore culture, the metal culture anymore. Like
now you have soccer moms that are getting tattooed.
Or even like kids that are getting heavily tattooed that are just, Justin Bieber's heavily tattooed.
Right.
Right? It's become its own thing. And
Justin Bieber.
Yeah. And I think the shitty thing about it becoming its own thing is that it's lost some of its it's lost something. It's lost something in translation. Like it's gained, but it's lost. So last week a guy asked, why do I care so much about ephemeral ink?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
I'm not trying to start a fight or anything.
But let me. So there was somebody that listened to our podcast last week and made, I don't know, 5 or 6 different comments, and one of them was something to the effect of, why do you care so much what somebody else does with their tattooing? Something like that.
Right.
And me and Justin had a long talk about it because to me, it almost kind of looked like the dude was kind of poking the bear just to see what kind of reaction we would get in the chat. And the one question he had said something to the effect of, it was more like, well, if they're getting a tattoo, and he said maybe I'm missing something, but if they're getting to get a tattoo and they're getting the tattoo that they want, and it's the ink that they want, and it's the actual tattoo that they want, what do you care? Blah blah blah. And I was like, well, you did miss something, man, because those people that were in those articles were complaining about they wanted to get a temporary tattoo that they were expecting to disappear within a year, and there's people walking around 3-4 years later with this shitty half faded tattoo.
Yeah.
And that was my answer to him. There was no hate or anything towards him. It was just, hey, this is the answer. And then he asked some other stuff, and then he was just like, why do you care so much about what other people are doing? I personally don't care what anybody else does. That's your business, man. Like, you want to get a dick tattooed on your forehead? Have at it, boss. Don't care. You're the one that's got to wear it, not me. But I care about the tattoo culture and the history of it. And if it's going to get tarnished or ruined because of some gimmicky bullshit.
Exactly.
There you go.
So I'm 53. I got my first tattoo at 17. That means what? I've been getting tattooed for 36 years.
Right.
I've been getting tattooed for 36 years. I've been tattooing for 28 or 29. I mean, I've given almost a lifetime, almost half a lifetime to.
You've been tattooing longer than you were pre-tattooed.
Yeah. And the thing about tattooing, we were talking about this too, is you can be into something, right? You can be into guns, you can be into cars, you can be into stamps, you can be into horse racing, football, whatever you want to be into. But tattooing is almost unique in that if you change your mind, like if I changed my mind today and said, I don't like tattooing anymore, I don't want to be tattooed anymore. It's not like I can just go sell my hot rod cars or my motorcycles or my stamps, or I can stop watching football on Sundays. If I don't want to be tattooed anymore, I got to get surgically altered. Like, it's almost unique in that. I mean, the only things that come really close to that, I think, are like the fighting arts, like martial arts, and like bodybuilding. I mean, what other things really
that you do
affect you physically?
Yeah.
When it comes to lifestyles or pastimes, I don't want to call them hobbies.
So here's another thing that I get asked this on occasion, where look, I don't think Justin or I really care too much about new generation, old generation, blah blah blah. But we want to make sure that we're still holding on to. Okay, maybe me more than you, because I see you rolling your eyes over there, dude.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
But I think that we want to make sure that the traditions and the history of it are still being heard and not forgotten about and not glossed over. Because just like musicians, if these young kids are coming out and they're like, Led Zeppelin sucks. But if you were in the room the first time you heard Led Zeppelin 1 being cut, and you would have been mind blown.
Right.
Because you look at it as it's old shit that's been around for 50 years, but you got to put yourself in the time frame of when it came out and go, okay, so the stuff that was out was like hippie mamas and the papas peace, love, smoke weed. Yeah, man. And then you had Led Zeppelin comes out and it's like a punch in the face.
Or like the Ramones. Like the Ramones began to play music when people were listening to Kansas.
And
like,
Sticks and
like Dust in the They played Beat on the Brat while everybody was listening to Dust in the Wind.
It's
not that there's anything wrong with Dust in the Wind.
And I think that
Bill and Ted were right.
As the younger generation start to get older, they're going to realize that they're going to get their stuff that they think is the shit right now is going to get stomped on too.
Right.
Because it happens. It's a vicious cycle that keeps being repeated. And is it ever going to go away? No. But here's the thing. All I'm asking for anybody that's ever listening to these is be open-minded about the history and the traditions of this. Whether you agree or disagree or use, old machines, new machines, you like new realism or traditional, doesn't matter. All I'm saying is understand where this thing came from and understand the people that put the blood, sweat, and tears into it to get to where you're at today, where you're able to have your shop, where you're able to do whatever tattoos you want to do. God damn it. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
So, and I think that, I don't necessarily know about other industries, right? But there is a time where most tattooers go through being dickheads. There is like the dickhead era in most tattooers' careers.
Yeah.
Where they know everything. The work that they like is the best work. Anybody that's not doing what they like is effed up. And in all honesty, that already happened to me.
Yeah, well, so here's another thing is, not to shine a light on this dude, but he also said, I said something last week that I probably shouldn't have said. I said something about like douchebag hipster or whatever. And man, look, I was in a moment where I was, going off about something, but we're friends with some hipster dudes and that is what it is. When I think of those, the hipster people, I think of like the ignorant tattoos and stuff like that. So,
Pete Davidson.
There you go. Yeah. He made a comment about, oh, well, these so-called douchebag hipsters, how come their tattoos look bright and bold compared to shitty old biker tattoos? And I just went laugh out loud because I'm like, are we looking at the same tattoos, dude? I mean, yeah, dude, we know there's stuff now that's being put out that is beyond anything that any of these old guys ever thought there would be put out. But there's also some shit that's being put out. Let's be real. And if that's what you like, that's what you like. Again, I don't care. I don't care if you want to tattoo, your face and put, dice on it or whatever. It is what it is.
But part of the thing is too, Buck, like, in the end, if you're 60 years old and you're really tatted up, more than likely you have a very different life experience than somebody that's 20 and all tatted up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you and I remember being kids. We remember when shops were scary.
Yeah.
They weren't about making you comfortable. They weren't about, they were like trolls. They were like big, scary, hairy trolls. And if you were tough enough, like really tough enough to go into a tattoo shop, get some ink and have some balls, like that's why it was an issue of respect.
So, Artie just said, lost the subculture magic. Now it's common to be tattooed. And that's kind of what we're saying. And, a perfect segue into that is actually Mark Mahoney. And on one of the things that I was watching him talk about was, he said that, look, he enjoys, being able to tattoo celebrities and stuff like that now. And he is okay with it because of monetary reasons, right? Of, soccer moms and whatever coming in to get tattoos and whatever because he's a shop owner. So obviously, look, but he said, look, I miss that little bit of, shadiness that used to be there. That little bit of, ooh, that used to be there. And he said, if he could combine, like both,
So Jesse just released a reel, and basically in the reel, it was called "How to Bargain Over Price with Customers."
Okay.
I mean Jesse Martinaic, right? And he quotes this person a price, and they're like, "That's too expensive." And if you don't give it to me cheaper, I'm going to leave a bad Yelp review. And Jesse's like, "Bitch, I got a gun."
You can't say that on YouTube. You gotta say pew pew.
Huh?
You can't say that on YouTube.
You can't?
No, you gotta say pew pew. Pew pew.
Oh.
Pew pew.
Oh, all right, yeah. So,
not that anybody's listening,
because that's like sort of Jesse's stick.
Like that's his attitude,
right?
Yeah.
Jesse comes from a time probably where someone walked into the shop and he had to pull the shop poo poo out from under the counter.
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
So Mark Mahoney, legend, long list of celebrities. He's in a situation now where the rest of the guys in the shop are, doing more of the walk-in work and stuff like that. But he also has, not anymore, but he had like Negretti, who's also a legend. Negretti's son is working there. I mean, he's got pretty badass roster of tattoo artists that are working at the Shamrock Social Club.
The thing about Mahoney that's so interesting to me,
I love how smooth he is, man.
Is that apparently, I think it was Shane that told us, apparently you will tell him the idea that you want and he will draw it and say, is this what you want? Like on an index card, he'll just freehand draw it. And then if you say that's what you want, he then just draws it on you.
Mm.
He doesn't like make a stencil of his drawing.
I remember Shane saying that, but I don't remember if it was Mark or not, to be honest with you.
He just literally takes a pen and just...
I mean, the dude's work is some of the best work I've ever seen. The dude is he's smooth, man. He is a smooth son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he was in the Whitey Bulger movie, man. Black Mass.
In his style.
He was one of the gangsters in Black Mass. But dude, I mean, he's got a laundry list of celebrities: Lana Del Rey, Russell Brand, Johnny Depp, Danny Trejo. I'd like to meet Danny Trejo, man. I think he'd be cool to hang with. Lady Gaga, Adele. So, he's in LA. He's got that, he's got access to those celebrity types.
Absolutely.
Then we got other people that are lesser known, maybe artists that were more known for their musicianship. We got Frank Carter from Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, UK punk band. He's now a tattoo artist in London at Rose of Mercy Tattoo Shop.
Civ.
We got Civ, who just did the New York City TatCon. He was in the Gorilla Biscuits.
Let's start today.
There's this guy, I don't know him, and I actually just found out about him when I was looking this up. Connor Garrity. He was in a band called All Hail the Yeti. He was also a lead singer, but he's also a tattoo artist who tattooed Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour, Sid Wilson from Slipknot, Maria Bank from In This Moment. And I actually put this in here because I have a cool little tidbit about that band. The guitar player, Randy Wetzel, from my hometown, was in his band when we were kids. He was older, but they were called Phantom Crew. You can actually look them up on YouTube, man. And they used to play in this dungy basement place that was underneath the old movie theater. And they were hardcore, dude. They were like Metallica back in the day. And they were a badass band, dude. Like they were really close to getting signed, and I don't know what happened and why they didn't or whatever, but Randy wound up going out west, and now he's the guitar player for In This Moment. So shout out to Randy if he's ever sees this show. I doubt it, but who else do we have on here that's, Chris Bishop was in a band called Crowbot. He's a tattoo artist, Dovetail Tattoo in Austin, Texas. Alex Blackwell was in a band called 100th. Was a guitar player turned tattooer. He now tattoos at Empire Tattoo in Asheville, North Carolina. We got Dan Higgs, who was a pretty famous tattoo artist that's now a musician.
Right, gave up tattooing to play music.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Not throwing no shade, but it's not really my thing, man. Like it's not my style that I dig.
I mean, I think Higgsy's music definitely...
It's eclectic.
It tracks with Higgsy's art.
Okay.
Like, if you listen to Higgs' music and we're like, this is what he used to paint, you'd be like, yeah, exactly.
There's this dude named Billy Strings, and the only reason I know about him is I found out about his music after the fact, really. Is I do collect some valuable concert poster stuff, and Billy Strings' stuff is like big money. It goes like every time he puts stuff out, man, it sells like hotcakes, and you pay $150 for a print, and next thing you know, it's like worth $1,000, $2,000. It's pretty crazy. But Julian Best from Name Brand Tattoo in Ann Arbor did some of his work and also did some of the merch for Billy Strings. So not only did he angle the tattoo stuff, but then he's actually designing shirts and stuff for posters, I guess, maybe. Mike Emmett from Union 3 Tattoo in Detroit did work on Billy Strings. PJ Anderson and Chaz Otto. They're out of Nashville. And tattoo artist named Joe from Electric Park Tattoo. Then we have the dude with probably the longest list out of all of them, who owns now Intense Inc., right? Mario Barth. Originally out of New York City, then LA, then Vegas. I think he's still in all three. I could be wrong about that. He also does a huge tattoo show up in New York City, or used to. That dude's list of celebrities is long. Crazy, crazy, crazy. From movie stars to rock stars to rappers. Which brings me to the next thing. Rappers.
Wait, before we do that.
Sure.
Paul Booth.
Yeah, you had a couple more that I didn't have on my list that I totally blanked on, but Paul Booth.
Yeah, Tattooed Kerry King from Slayer. I'm 99% sure that he did a lot of Evan's work from Biohazard.
So I have a great story about that. It's kind of a funny story.
Okay.
So I was going in to do sound for this band that I had never met before. And I showed up to do the gig. And
you were right about the PA, by the way.
Right?
Yeah.
I walk in the room, and the dudes are up on the stage. And they're like, holy shit, Kerry, what's up? And I'm like, no. No. And they're like, So you got to remember at the time, though, I was thinner. I had a really, really long goatee. They thought I was Kerry King.
Nice.
Because the dudes that were up on stage were Paul Crook from Anthrax. The bass player from Anthrax. And I'm sorry, dude.
Ian? Scott Ian?
No, Scott Ian's a guitar player. The drummer is the drum tech for Megadeth. Like, this band was like dude, I love doing sound for those guys, man. Amazing period in my life doing sound for those guys. They were called Rugburned, and then they wound up calling themselves Gotham. And then Paul wound up being the guitar player for Meatloaf, which is crazy because he went from like Anthrax to Ministry. They kicked him out of Ministry they didn't kick him out because he doesn't do drugs or drink. so he didn't fit in with, ministry. But yeah, man, they thought I was Kerry King. I was like, dude, I'm honored, but no, I'm not Kerry King. I thought it was fucking hysterical, dude, at the time when it happened. But I just Paul Booth, totally forgot about that one, man. I forgot that he did all that tribal. Didn't he do both his sleeves? It's almost like a tribal.
Yeah, I mean, I think Booth, he created a whole sort of black and gray demonic style.
Yeah, his stuff is.
Somebody died in his shop once
while getting tattooed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stood up, and lost consciousness, fell into a display case and slit his throat.
Chris Hawkins said Billy Strings is the man. See? I think you might like them. Seriously.
Nice.
You'll have to definitely check them out. Voodoo is happy said, yes, when I was young, tattoos set you apart from mainstream society. Well, when you're an old head, you're around when.
Yeah, I mean, when they're when they're when they're using stone implements.
Right, when you're getting chiseled. Sticking and poking. But I don't know, man. I hope everybody dug the episode tonight. I mean, we tried to dig a little deep into some of the culture, and I hope that people are not going to tune into this thinking that we sat here all night and we're like, and so-and-so did this tattoo and so-and-so tattooed this person, because to be honest with you, it's really hard to find that information. It's I mean, there's some stuff that's out there, but it's not like people are publicizing it. I think that it's crazy to me that it's evolved from the Teddy Boys and the punk and metal to now where we have country singers, rappers. I mean, there's rappers now that have a shit ton of tattoos.
Absolutely.
Man, they've embraced the tattoo culture, which is cool, man. I think that's awesome.
So I would like to ask a genuine question to the people that are here, especially
ahead, we got people hanging in,
especially the people that have watched us,
especially you people that have made it to the end,
right?
The diehards.
So Buck and I, we really go out of our way to not we go out of our way to not insult anybody, to not disrespect anybody's ideas when it comes to tattooing.
Right.
And not everybody that talks about this subject on YouTube or on TikTok, I mean, some of them seem to cultivate
hate
beefs, right?
Yep.
And so I'm wondering about, the people that are watching us. Is that something that you appreciate, that we try to be even-handed and that we're not up here saying stuff like, if you like this style, it sucks, and this artist sucks, and I looked at this guy's work and it sucks, and that we're not, do you appreciate that about what we do here, that we try to be even-handed and we try to be fair and have respect for everybody? Buck and I decided pretty early on that it's not really worth dying on any hills or chewing, Buck points this out to me all the time. It's not really worth chewing over the same controversies,
right,
that everybody's chewing over. But I would really like to know what the people that are here with us think of that, especially the OGs.
I feel like too, though, is if you're gonna throw a topic out, you need to have the information to back it up. So, and I see this a lot with different podcasts that are tattoo oriented, where dudes are just chucking shit off the boat. Like they're chucking the anchor off the boat and there's no value to the story, or there's no value to the comments.
Right.
To me, I I try to live my life like Switzerland, man. Like I really try to stay out of confrontation and whatever because I don't handle it well. I know that I have to try to not be in those situations because I don't handle it well.
Yeah.
It's just my nature. And you know, so I try to be Switzerland until recently because they've obviously jumped into the fold of helping out Ukraine for the first time in
really they broke their
dude Medusa. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Dude, you rock, man. But yeah, man, like, you know, we set out at the beginning where we were like, hey, man, we're not going to pick apart anybody else's tattoo work. We're not going to talk about shit about other tattoo artists. I think that we really try to bring as much information to the table as we can. And sometimes we drop the ball and we don't know shit, but we try.
And I mean, I think part of it too, but to be honest, I think the fact that we actively do not engage in some of these controversial topics is makes it harder to come up with things to talk about. Like it's almost like controversy breeds material.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you and I could sit here and we could, you know.
Yeah, so
what are people saying? I'm just curious.
Okay.
They're saying Justin had a stupid question.
So Sarah usual. Said, I do appreciate that. Nikki, absolutely appreciate that you both are respectful of all. Chris said, completely.
Nice.
Tom said, yes, definitely tattoo drama is boring as shit.
Sweet, dude. I mean, I'm really...
We're going to show this again. Medusa with the $10 super chat.
Thank you. What?
Fudu. Yes, you guys are even-handed. You seem to cover tattooing in general as history of an art or culture.
I think that's Fudo.
Fudo?
Yeah.
Tom said, this is like a tattoo appreciation society rather than a gossip club. It's nice.
Thank you, man.
That's exactly what we were going for.
Thank you.
We wanted it to be a cool place where everybody hung out, gave their opinions, gave their ideas, talked in chat, and we got to like shoot the shit with our family.
I was going to throw in, unless you're a hipster.
Come on, man. I'm trying to band-aid that wound. Stop. Drag said positive vibrations. And Artie said, yeah. Wow. I don't know, man. That makes me happy though that you know,
that absolutely makes me happy.
The people that are tuning in every week, that enjoy our show, that enjoy what we talk about, they enjoy the fact that we're coming prepared. Unlike the beginning when we started this and we were just winging it. We really didn't know what to expect though when we started. So we, you know, it's changed now where we at least try to have our shit together by Wednesday. Sometimes it drifts until Friday, Saturday, but you know, it's been you know, interesting. And as always, please, if you have a suggestion on something that we should talk about, send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, Two Fat Guys in a Tattoo Shop. We have a Facebook page. Hit that up. Tattoos in Review, Facebook and Instagram. You can email us, tattoosinreview@gmail.com. However, you got to get a hold of us. Even if you show up here and chat one night, or if you're listening after, you can go ahead and comment. And we do read all our comments on our shows. So
Buck's using the royal we. Buck means that
the royal we.
The royal we. Buck means that I
have a mouse in my pocket.
He reads the comments.
But
I'm too lazy.
As always, we love all you guys.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us, and we will catch you all next week. Peace.
Stay safe.